They say casinos never sleep, but that's not true. They dream. Every light, every sound, every shimmer of color is part of a living, breathing illusion designed to make you forget what time it is and how much you've already lost. When I first started working behind those doors, I thought slot machines were just luck. A pull, a spin, a prayer. But then I saw how they're built, how the code behind the glass doesn't just decide wins, it manages emotion. The machine's rhythm, the flicker rate of the lights, even the celebratory jingles, they're not random. They're tuned like an instrument, calibrated to the frequency of human hope. And hope is addictive. You don't lose all at once. You lose slowly, rhythmically, one near win after another. The bar lines up, the bells ring, you're one symbol away, the dopamine spike hits, and you pull again. That's when I realized players aren't gambling for money, they're gambling for that feeling, that rush, the illusion that the next spin could change everything. And the machines? They know that better than you ever will. I used to watch people sit there for hours, hypnotized. They weren't thinking about the odds, they were chasing the moment that already happened, the one big win that made them believe the machine was their friend. But here's the truth. No machine is your friend. It studies you. It learns your rhythm, your bets, your habits. Every press of that button feeds back data to a system that knows exactly how long to keep you playing. And when it senses you're about to walk away, that's when it lets you win just enough to make you stay. That's not luck. That's design. Casinos don't want you to lose too fast. They want you to keep believing. Because the moment belief dies, profit stops. Ever noticed how your favorite slot seems to wake up right when you're ready to quit? Comment below. What's the strangest pattern you've seen at the slots? I'll read through the replies and reveal what's actually happening. The strangest thing about slot machines isn't how they make you lose, it's how they make you feel like you're winning while you're losing. Take a look next time. You'll notice the machine celebrates even the smallest payouts, lights flashing, sounds blaring, as if you just hit the jackpot. But what it doesn't tell you is this. That $2.50 win on a $5 spin, you're still down. Yet your brain doesn't care. It celebrates anyway. That's the psychology of losses disguised as wins. A manipulation so subtle, most players never notice it. Your body releases the same chemical reward as if you actually won money. And that's why you keep pressing the button. Casinos spend millions studying these reactions. Behavioral scientists, designers, even neurologists, all working to perfect one simple goal: keep you spinning. They've turned gambling into neurological engineering. And here's where it gets darker. When a machine knows it's got you hooked, it doesn't just reward you randomly. It learns your rhythm. It mirrors your behavior. It gives you wins at just the right intervals to sustain the illusion of control. That's why gamblers always say, "This machine feels hot." It's not hot. It's reading you. Your pauses, your hesitations, your betting pattern, all quietly recorded and adjusted by the algorithm. You think you're chasing luck, but it's the machine that's chasing you. I remember an old player, a woman named Carol. She used to play the same machine every night. Always the same seat, always the same drink. One night she told me, "This one knows me. It's lucky for me." And the saddest part? She was right. It did know her. Not her name, not her story, just her data. Every time she pressed that button, it adapted, adjusted its frequency, its timing, even its little wins, until she wasn't playing anymore. She was being played. Have you ever felt like a slot machine was in sync with you? Like it somehow knew when you'd win or lose? Drop your story below. I'll tell you what's really going on. Most players don't realize the casino's watching them long before they even sit down. Not just with cameras, with invisible systems tracking everything. When you insert your player's card or even linger too long near a machine, data starts flowing. The system logs your time spent, average bet size, and win-loss ratio. Then it builds something terrifyingly precise, your player profile. That profile determines everything: what offers you get, how loose your machine feels. Even when a server walks by to hand you a free drink, it's all calculated to keep you comfortable, because comfort keeps you sitting. It's a perfect illusion of generosity. Casinos call it rewarding loyalty, but it's not loyalty they're rewarding, it's predictability. They're paying you to be predictable. Ever wonder how, after a big loss, your card suddenly gets you a free buffet or a comped room? That's not kindness. That's retention strategy. The system knows you're close to breaking point, so it gives you a reason to come back tomorrow. And that's the genius of it all. You don't even need to win for them to win. They just need you to believe you might. Behind those flashing screens are layers of code, probability weights, payout schedules, and algorithms constantly adjusting based on collective player behavior. If the crowd gets restless, payouts rise slightly across the floor. If too many people are winning, everything tightens back up. Invisible balance, perfect control. It's not rigged, not in the way people think. It's managed. Just enough chaos to feel real. Just enough control to stay profitable. You could walk in on a random Tuesday, sit down at a machine, and feel like you chose it. But in truth, it might have been waiting for you, because the system already predicted you'd come back. Next time you use your player card, look at how fast the casino rewards you. Ever noticed how it feels almost too convenient? Comment below. I'll explain how they use those free perks to keep you spending more than you realize.
They call them comps. Free drinks, hotel rooms, show tickets, dinners, tiny gifts dressed up as appreciation. But the truth? Those aren't rewards. They're reminders. Casinos don't give you free stuff because they like you. They give it because you've proven you'll give more back. It starts small, a drink while you play. It relaxes you, slows your awareness. Then maybe a buffet coupon after a long night. You tell yourself you've earned it. But the system knows exactly how much you've lost and how much more you're likely to lose if you come back tomorrow feeling valued. That's what comps are, currency for your attention. Every perk is timed. Every gesture is deliberate. They even know the psychological sweet spot. Give a reward right after a loss. It reframes disappointment as appreciation. You feel seen, comforted, and you stay. I once saw a man lose nearly $5,000 on penny slots. His expression was blank. He was done. Then a floor host walked up with a smile, handed him a free dinner voucher, and said, "You've been such a loyal guest tonight." The man laughed, thanked her, and sat back down. That's not luck. That's design. Casinos understand the human mind better than most therapists do. They study the point where pain turns into hope, and they build around it. Even the architecture helps. The carpets are loud and disorienting, so your eyes stay up, on the machines, on the lights. No clocks, no windows, no exit signs in sight. You live in the eternal now, a world without time, only spins. And when the reward system kicks in, the lights, the music, the fake celebration, it feels like a small miracle. But every miracle in a casino is paid for by someone else's disbelief. The house never loses because it never plays. It just watches, quietly, patiently, collecting from those who can't see the strings. Have you ever received a free reward from a casino that felt suspiciously well-timed? Tell me in the comments what they offered, because next I'll expose how casinos predict your emotions before you even feel them. Casinos learned long ago that the secret to profit isn't chance, it's emotion. If they can predict how you feel, they can predict what you'll do next. Every detail on that casino floor is built to sense you, not through cameras or magic, but through patterns.
the length of your spins, the time you pause after a loss, how fast your hand returns to the button. All of it forms an emotional fingerprint. The system reads that fingerprint in real time. If your play slows down, the lights pulse softer. If frustration builds, it drops a small win, just enough to reset your mood. You feel lucky again. You're not. You're managed. It's predictive empathy, a machine's version of caring, except it doesn't heal, it harvests. I once met a technician who worked on these systems. He told me the goal wasn't to make players happy, it was to keep them regulated. If you got too angry, you'd walk away. Too bored, you'd leave. But just the right mix of hope and frustration, that's the sweet spot. That's where the money flows. They even know the emotional life cycle of an average player. The thrill of the first win, the slide into loss, the plateau of denial, and finally, the surrender. Right before you hit that final stage, they intervene. A sound, a bonus round, a small jackpot, anything to pull you back. It's not about giving you joy, it's about extending your stay. Because the longer you stay, the more predictable you become. And once you're predictable, you're profitable. I remember watching a man play the same machine for 8 straight hours. No big wins, no bonuses, just small, steady play. Then, at his lowest point, the machine hit. Lights everywhere, bells. He jumped up, cheered. He thought luck had finally found him. But I knew the truth. The system had been waiting for that exact moment, not to reward him, but to reset him. He'd come back tomorrow. He always did. Have you ever had a perfectly timed win right when you were ready to walk away? Share it below, because next I'll uncover how those bonus rounds and random jackpots aren't as random as you think. People love bonus rounds. That sudden flash of color, the siren sound, the promise of something extra. It's the heartbeat of modern slot design, the illusion of reward without the risk of quitting. But what most players never realize is that bonus rounds aren't random. They're timed experiences. Behind the reels, a program tracks your engagement curve. How long you've been playing, how many near wins you've seen, and how emotionally invested you become. When your engagement starts to dip, that's when the magic happens. A bonus appears, free spins, a pick-and-win feature, maybe a wheel that promises a shot at the jackpot. You're excited again. Hope floods back in. That's not chance, that's maintenance. I once sat with a developer who worked on bonus systems for one of the biggest slot manufacturers. He told me, bonuses aren't about paying players. They're about pacing them. Every feature is built to reset your brain's chemistry, to give you a dopamine spike just when your focus starts to fade. It's psychological CPR. Even the animation timing is strategic. Notice how the bonus symbols tease. One lands, then another, then the third almost misses before snapping into place. That hesitation isn't lag, it's tension by design. You're meant to feel the win before you even get it. And once you do, you're locked back in. The anticipation becomes a cycle. The waiting, the build-up, the payoff. It feels alive, spontaneous, fair. But it's just code predicting your next emotional need. Here's what's cruel about it. The biggest wins often come right after your biggest losses. That's when your brain is at its weakest, desperate for balance, searching for meaning. The machine gives you a miracle, and you start to believe again. But that miracle is the leash. It pulls you right back into the game. I used to think the word jackpot meant victory. Now I know it just means reset. Have you ever hit a big bonus or jackpot right after a terrible losing streak? Comment your story. I'll show you in the next part how casinos use false hope cycles to make even losing feel like progress. There's a strange kind of magic that happens on the casino floor. The illusion of almost winning. 3 diamonds line up, but the 4th just misses. 2 bonus symbols drop. The 3rd stops 1 reel short. You sigh, smile, and press the button again because now it feels close. That feeling, that sense that the big win is just around the corner is no accident. It's engineered. It's called a near miss. And it's one of the most powerful psychological hooks ever built into gambling. When you almost win, your brain reacts the same way it does to an actual victory. It releases dopamine, the same chemical rush that makes you feel good when you do win. Except now, you're being rewarded for losing. Casinos learned long ago that consistent losses push people away, but almost winning, that keeps them locked in, because almost feels like progress, and progress feels like hope. The machines are coded to show near misses at precise intervals, not enough to frustrate you, just enough to convince you that the pattern is leaning your way. You tell yourself the machine is warming up, but it's not. It's tightening its grip. Every spin is another chance to chase what already slipped away. That's the cruelty of it. You're not gambling against the odds. You're gambling against your own optimism. I remember one man who swore he'd cracked the pattern. He said the symbols were talking to him, hinting when the jackpot was due. He had notebooks filled with sequences and timings. He truly believed the machine was communicating. It wasn't. It was conditioning him drip by drip to confuse effort with progress. And every almost made him believe he was getting smarter, but he was only getting deeper. The near miss doesn't make you win. It makes you chase the ghost of winning. And that ghost never runs out of energy. Have you ever felt like you were due for a win? Like the machine owed you after all those close calls? Drop your experience below, because next I'll take you inside how casinos manipulate time perception, so you never realize how long you've been playing.
Casinos are masters of time, not keeping it, but making you forget it exists. Step inside and the world outside dissolves. No clocks, no sunlight, no reference to morning or night. You enter a space where time isn't measured in hours, it's measured in spins. Every element around you is designed to disconnect you from reality. The lighting, always warm, always golden, never harsh enough to remind you of daylight. The air, constantly filtered, perfectly cool, carrying a faint scent engineered to keep you awake but relaxed. And the music, looping rhythms that blend so smoothly you can't tell when one song ends and the next begins. You start playing. A few spins turn into a session. A session turns into a memory blur. And then, somehow, it's 3 a.m. That's not an accident. It's architecture's psychology. Casinos learned decades ago that awareness is the enemy of gambling. If you know how long you've been there, if you feel tired, hungry, or bored, you'll leave. So they strip away every cue your brain uses to track time. Even the layout plays a role. No straight paths, no obvious exits. It's a maze that gently curves, forcing you past more machines, more lights, more temptation. Every turn whispers, just one more. And then there's the sound. Those chimes and bells, they never stop, because silence reminds you to think, and casinos can't afford that. There's a reason players say, I lost track of time. They didn't lose it. It was taken from them, piece by piece, spin by spin. I've seen people walk in during daylight and hours later stumble out into the dark, blinking like they've crossed dimensions. They don't realize they've been awake for 10 hours, their bodies running on adrenaline and denial. That's the trick. Casinos don't speed time up or slow it down. They erase it. And when you live in a world without time, you stop thinking about consequences. You start living from one spin to the next. Have you ever looked up from a slot machine and been shocked by how late it was? Share your lost time story below. In the next part, I'll reveal how casinos use environmental control, light, scent, even temperature to manipulate mood and decision-making. Most people think the casino's tricks stop at lights and sounds, but the manipulation goes deeper, into the very air you breathe. There's a reason casinos smell the way they do. It's not the food, not the carpet, not the people. It's engineered. A custom blend of scents designed to trigger calm, confidence, and nostalgia, emotions that make you stay longer, spend more, and feel safer doing it. Studies found that a subtle floral citrus scent increased slot machine revenue by over 45%, not because it made people luckier, but because it made them comfortable. The smell says you're relaxed. The lighting says you're lucky. The temperature says don't leave yet. Everything you sense works together to blur the edges of reality. Warm tones around the machines, cooler air in the walkways. It keeps you circling back toward the glow, like a moth chasing the safest light. And if you've ever noticed the carpets, loud, dizzying, full of chaotic patterns, that's not bad design. That's intention. Your eyes stay up, focused on the machines, not the exits. Casinos don't want your mind wandering. They want your gaze fixed, your focus narrow, your world reduced to reels and rewards. Even the chairs are calculated. Just soft enough to keep you comfortable, but not enough to make you sleepy. Just low enough to force you to lean slightly forward, the posture of attention. You're not resting, you're ready. And the longer you're ready, the more you'll risk. Because in that state, the brain doesn't think about money, it just wants more stimulation. I once watched a player who swore he could feel when his machine was hot. What he didn't know was that the air vents above that row released a slightly cooler breeze, refreshing enough to wake him up every 15 minutes. He played for 6 hours straight, never questioned why he never got tired. That's how deep the manipulation goes. It's not just in the machines, it's in the air, the temperature, the light, invisible cues whispering, "Stay a little longer." Have you ever noticed a casino that felt different? Like it smelled better, felt more alive, more energizing? Tell me what stood out to you. Next, I'll show you how casinos blur the line between entertainment and control, turning every spin into a carefully managed experience you think you're choosing. Casinos love the word fun. They sell it like candy, bright, colorful, easy to swallow. Come play, have fun, unwind. But that word hides something darker, because inside a casino, fun isn't freedom, it's control. Every sound, every color, every animation on those screens is tuned to simulate joy. The cheers from other machines, the fake coin jingles echoing from nowhere, they create the illusion of a party that never ends. You feel like you're part of it, even when you're sitting alone. That's how they do it. They turn isolation into community, desperation into excitement, loss into entertainment. You're not playing against the house. You're playing inside the house's story. Casinos call this immersive design. It's not just about keeping you there. It's about making you forget you're gambling. You're not betting anymore. You're participating. You're part of the experience, spinning, cheering, chasing. But here's the truth. Once gambling feels like entertainment, it stops feeling like risk. And that's the moment they've won. The psychology behind it is terrifyingly precise. Colors that evoke safety, gold, red, deep blue. Melodies in major keys, uplifting, reassuring, hopeful. Even the speed of the reels, slowed down by milliseconds to extend anticipation. Every sensory detail tricks your brain into thinking this is leisure, not loss. You're having fun, right? So you stay, you spend, you forget. I remember a man laughing as he lost. He said, "I'm paying for the entertainment." He meant it as a joke, but his wallet wasn't laughing. That's the brilliance of it. You leave feeling entertained, not defeated. And the moment defeat turns into entertainment, the cycle begins again. Casinos don't take your money. They make you give it willingly, because who questions the price of fun? Have you ever walked out of a casino thinking that was fun, only to realize later how much you spent? Share that realization below. In the next part, I'll take you into the final layer, how casinos turn returning players into lifelong customers through psychological conditioning and emotional reinforcement. The deeper I went, the more I realized the casino wasn't just a business. It was an ecosystem, meticulously engineered to thrive on human weakness. I started noticing patterns that weren't visible to the average player. Machines that always seemed to almost hit a jackpot. Flashing lights that pulsed at a rhythm that proven to increase dopamine. Carpet patterns designed to keep your eyes focused on the machines instead of the exits. And then there was the near-miss effect. You'd spin and get 2 jackpot symbols, then a third that just barely missed the line. The sound effects, the visual flashes, everything was programmed to make your brain think you were close, when statistically, you weren't even in the same universe. It wasn't luck, it was psychology. There was a night when an old man came up to me, trembling, desperate. He'd been sitting at the same Buffalo Gold machine for 8 hours straight. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "It's due, I can feel it." But machines don't get due. They don't have memory. Each spin is independent, random, and cold. Yet he believed. He needed to believe. When he finally hit the bonus round, he screamed, jumped, cried. But when it was over, he'd won less than he had already lost. He thanked the machine anyway. That's when it hit me. People weren't just gambling money. They were gambling hope. I started to question everything, the smiles, the free drinks, the fake sense of luxury, all that was part of the act. The casino didn't want winners, it wanted believers, and I was one of the magicians behind the curtain, keeping the illusion alive. But here's the thing, once you see the strings, you can't unsee them. That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I walked out of that casino one last time just before dawn. The sky was pale gray, the air heavy with that strange silence that follows a long night of noise. Behind me, the machines kept singing. Endless, hollow melodies for the next crowd walking in, eyes full of hope, wallets full of dreams. I didn't quit because I hated the industry. I quit because I finally understood it. Every spin, every light, every sound, they weren't just there to entertain. They were weapons aimed straight at human instinct. The illusion of control, the thrill of the near win, the belief that one more spin could fix it all, it was all part of a carefully built maze with no real exit. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. The casino doesn't need to cheat. The system is already perfect. It's designed to make you feel lucky, even when the math says you're not. Now, when I pass a casino, I don't see glamour. I see patterns. I see faces. I see stories, some ending in laughter, most in quiet regret. And if you've ever felt that rush when the reels line up, that tingle in your chest when the lights flash, just remember this, that feeling isn't a sign you're winning. It's the sound of the machine doing its job. Because in the end, casinos don't run on luck. They run on people. If you've ever been inside one, tell me in the comments, what was the moment you realized the game was bigger than you thought? I'll be reading them all.